If pressure worked, you'd already be massively powerful, popular. If pressure worked, you'd already be so visible. If pressure worked, you wouldn't even be here trying to figure out how to be visible because you'd have more visibility than you knew what to do with. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 40 books and counting. I've had over the course of this last 40 years the amazingly wonderful privilege of working with more than 5,000 authors, helping them become best-selling authors. That's included people like doctors, lawyers, stay-at-home moms, Fortune 500 company owners, brand new startup companies, people who had no idea, no clue, no thought, no, even intention of this is what I want to do, and people who were literally world changers, literal multi-billionaires who had made such massive difference in the world that it still astounds me that I was allowed to have them in my circle and to know people like Errol. And every single one of them that I've worked with has been such a blessing. It really is. It's such an honor to do what I do. Um, you know, can I be honest with you? For a while there, I lost that. I lost the understanding of just how incredibly wonderful and special that was. And it's because of this exact thing that we're going to talk about today. It's because of the pressure. It's because you feel all of that pressure on you. Um, and what typically ends up happening, and I know that it takes pressure to make a diamond, but most of the time, pressure just cracks things. It just crushes stuff. It doesn't really compact it down into diamond. And what we need to understand is that pressure isn't what's going to give you visibility. In most cases, just putting more pressure on yourself does not create and turn you into a diamond. It just breaks you. And I can tell you from experience, I'm actually in the process of writing another book that's almost a tell-all. In fact, I'm debating even as I write it, how much of this do I want to write? How much of this do I want to tell? But I'm just kind of putting it all out there right now. And I am asking actually a couple of AI programs to help me reframe it because it's a little bit too raw. Not saying that, those of you that have listened to my lives haven't heard me get, deeply real and raw with you. I don't mind doing that at all. I really don't. But, I want it to be helpful to you. Hey, Daniel, glad to have you here with us. Or Daniela, sorry. Glad to have you here. But it's been interesting because, and I had planned this out, what I was going to be talking about today a couple of weeks ago. And the fact that this book has just kind of been birthing out of me the last couple of days. RM, Traz, and you are, I'm so glad all of you are here with us. I appreciate you guys joining in with us today. Feel free to let me know if you have a book and how I can help you promote your book. Ultimately, you do need to share who you are with the world. Dios, glad to have you here with us. So glad to have you here. Here's the thing. There's an old phrase that's called hustling, and some of us know it, some of us don't. Hustle and grind is often taught as a business strategy. And really trying harder in most cases doesn't really work. It's not necessarily that you need to learn how to work smarter and not harder. That doesn't always, give you the success you're looking for either. But the just purely pressing and grinding and hustling and outrunning everybody, and don't get me wrong, that can be a very good short-term success. And early on, when you're building things, you need to add that element in there. But just doing that is not sustainable. you will eventually hit the wall of physical capability, of mental, emotional, all of those kind of things. And then you need to have systems. And even more than before those, you need to have the visibility, and you need to have an ongoing structured path for how you're going to be visible. You see, because what really happens is pressure creates tension. And what tension does is it clouds your clarity, because then you're focused on this thing over here. So let me give you a perfect idea. Okay. Today, if you're listening live, is the 30th. We're just a couple of days away from the beginning of not only the new month, but the whole new year. The first of the year, January 1st is a holiday for the most part, and the banks will be closed. So most of your bills that are due on the 1st, you can probably wait until Friday the 2nd. But, every month, right? You pay all the utilities, you pay your rent or your mortgage or what have you. And what happens? The next month, they want you to pay them again, right? And so we get to this point towards the end of the month, and sometimes we're doing really great, and we're like, we even start off the week before the end of the month and we just pay off everything, and those are the months that feel great. And then there's other times where it's like, oh man, I've got a bunch of stuff to pay and I need to pay it by Friday, and honestly, the check I'm going to get on Friday, or worse yet, if you're self-employed, I have to create the money, right? In order to be able to do it. And that tension that comes from the pressure of that, what it does is it steers your focus away from your clarity. See, clarity is powerful. Clarity allows you to see clearly, this is who I am. This is the heart and soul and core of me. And this is who I'm meant to serve. And from all the things I could do in this world, this is the one thing that will help them the most. Just like when I'm coming on here, I'm talking to you about your visibility. And if you want to go deeper with it, we're talking about how you can have your book not only get to, but be and stay visible, and how powerfully, how massively effective that is in everything else you then want to do. And it's the place where your book should sit. You see, that's that one thing for me. And that's what I can step in and do for you, is bring the, and literally as I'm writing this book, I'm really realizing that when I turn 59 will be literally also the anniversary, the 59th anniversary of the first time I was visible in media. That's right. I actually made it in the paper the day I was born. I'm a New Year's baby. I was not the first person born in my city, but I was the first one in the hospital. The other kid got the gifts. I made it into the paper. I've been magnetizing media since literally the day I was born. Okay. And so when I come to you and I talk to you, and I've made every mistake possible, kind of looking back through them, the, highs and the lows and and then everything should have been great. And then we didn't. And a lot of that, Bruce, glad to have you here with us. A lot of that comes from exactly what I'm talking about here. We feel the pressure. The pressure creates the tension, and it distracts our clarity and our focus and our passion and our purpose over to that thing, that bill that needs to be paid, that worry that we're having. And so rather than just letting everything else, really, if you want to know the truth of it, is let God be God, and understand that He has a plan, and understand that the plan is not to just beat you up. That's really not the way that it works. And to rest back and then show up as the best version of you that you can show up as in the day that's called today. You see, that's where focus, that's where clarity, that's where consistency allows you that connection. You take each day as today, and that's all you need to deal with. And you then take that one single focused clarity. This is who I am. This is who I'm meant to serve. This is the one thing that I can do that can really, truly help them. No matter what name you want to call God by, Cliff, the being, the Almighty, the situation, whatever you want to call it, that is the one who created everything. Okay, my basic definition of God boils down to this, and I'm just answering Cliff's question. I'm talking about the being that created everything that we know as all of existence as one thought that they had one day. Okay, and you can give it any name you want to. I really kind of like how in the conversation with Moses, when Moses asked him what his name was, he said, I am. Because he just is. Everything that we know that is everything is just a creative expression. And really, like he said, is the expression of one creative thought that he had one day. Okay? So, sorry about that rabbit trail, but I wanted to address that with Cliff because I brought up, God's plan for you. So, I opened myself up for that. You see, when we have that clarity, when we focus on the clear thing that we can do today versus the things that we don't have any control over anyway, okay, we can't control when somebody's going to come on and ask a question. We can answer the question. We can't control, when we have an appointment with somebody who has the money and can do it, or whether they just lost their job the day before they had their appointment with us. We don't have any control over those things. We try to control them. We put in place all of these great systems to be able to ask them, if you saw something that you liked, would you be willing to invest? Do you have the $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $10 million, whatever we ask to try to quantify them, but we still don't really have any control over it. They could be in a super great mood. They could have just had the thing they've been looking for their whole entire life that they were able to just buy 5 minutes before the call, and now they're broke. See, that's why I always say, your value, your worth, and true abundance is not based on the dollars and cents that are in the bank. Because, if you put a giant down payment on a house, or if you buy a car cash, which is amazing that you had the money to be able to do that, that money is now no longer in your account. It went to wherever, you bought that car, the place you bought, ultimately it's going to be the people you bought the house from. And so does that mean that if you had, let's use big numbers, you had $100,000 to put down on a house, and now you don't have that $100,000. Does that mean that you're no longer abundant, that you're no longer successful? Or do we look at the fact that we put that $100,000 down on, let's just say, using the 10% rule, $1 million house. And so now you have $1 million asset that $100,000 allowed you to get in the ownership position of. See, it's all about what we focus on, but the pressure that creates the tension, and the tension that creates the stress, they distract us from the clarity, and then we end up not doing the stuff that only we can do. Now, don't get me wrong. I totally get it. I've been there pretty much every day of my life too. I understand. I'm not asking you to in any way judge yourself or beat yourself up for the times when those things happen. What I am asking you to do today is just take a deep breath. Realize that there's two things you can do. Number one, control what you can and don't worry about what you can't control. Do the things that you can do. Be the best you that you can be in the day that is called today. I was talking to a really great friend of mine last night, and she isn't currently living with her children. Long situation. And it's not mine to share all of her, inner details and stuff. But, that, of course, obviously is something that she wants to change immediately, right? But there are multiple steps, and we were talking through some of those last night. There are multiple steps between here and even being able to just, see them on a video call because of some situations that happen in life, just like happens with all of us. And so we can live today sad, depressed, lonely, upset, hurt, all of those things over the thing that we can't, that is impossible to be able to do today, or we can do what we can do today. We can focus on our healing, on our finances, on more than anything, our ability to be able to reach out and help somebody else. You see, here's a really, really cool psychological concept, mental concept. Your brain literally does not have the capability to be in tensions, pressure, stress, worry, anxiety, fear, and actual true giving and service at the same time. Now, you can show up places where you're supposed to serve and spend your whole time focused on that pressure, or you can show up at work and be distracted from your clarity because of the pressure that you're feeling for, the rent or the mortgage or the whatever that's due on the first in a couple of days. Or you can put yourself in a place of service. You can say, I'm going to show up. I've got this call that I'm going to do with this person. And rather than being like those jerks that are like, oh yeah, I'm going to go sell this person because this person equals my car payment. I've dealt with those salespeople. I really don't like those kind of people at all. Not at all. Okay. Or you can just simply say, I'm going to show up for this person. And if there's something that they decide resonates and they want to be a customer, I would love that. But either way, I'm going to give them value. You see, and here's where we come to my shameless plug that I'm supposed to do easier, and you can tell I still always struggle with. This is why I would love for you to DM or put in the comments the word review. Put the word review in a comment, or like I said, send me a DM if you don't want it to be out there. And you and I get together, spend 10, 15 minutes on a Zoom call, and let's just look at your book. What's working, what isn't. Let me give you some literally free. I had somebody that was calling out that you shouldn't use the free or completely free because then people are like, I don't believe that. Okay. I'm not saying that at the end of that, if you feel like what I'm doing and could do would be useful to you, that I don't want to have you as a client. I absolutely do. But I want to show up first to serve you. I want to intentionally put myself in a place of service to you so that then everything else comes beyond that, comes after that. That's what's important. That's how we show up and serve. Because here's the thing. Calm, small action beats force, pressure, tension, and stress every single time. And even especially right now, in the state that the world's in, no matter where your belief system is, all those kind of things, no matter what political thing, there's a lot of turmoil out there. And there's people that are worried about certain things and stuff like that. But no matter where you are at, calm, small action is going to beat force and tension and pressure every single time. So please do DM the word review. And let me show you that visibility grows where calm action lives. Let me give you some quick wins. Let me help you out. I'm here for you. I appreciate you spending the time with me today. We're going to get together again tomorrow. And tomorrow's theme is no midnight magic, just truth. Because tomorrow is New Year's Eve. And we're going to talk about how when the ball drops, it's not some kind of magical thing. It's really just what we do that determines what we're doing. We take the action and we get the result of that action. So let's talk about that tomorrow. In the meantime, I hope you're happy, safe, warm, and loved. And then until we're together again next time, I hope you have a great week.